There are potentially some major issues with the Detroit Lions offense, and we're going to get into it. What up, though? Welcome back to Lions Nation Unite. I am Eazy. Smash the like button, be a friend, tell a friend, share this video, because in today's video, we are talking about the Detroit Lions offensive blunders, shortcomings, whatever word, what type of verbiage you want to use, put it there. What we've seen this season. Yes, I'm going this season with the Detroit Lions offense is not the Detroit Lions offense we've grown accustomed to when we had Frank Ragnow and Ben Johnson in the building. Now, the issue is it doesn't feel like these guys can properly identify the issue. Like, how are we going to fix this if we can? The first step to fixing a problem is admitting you have a problem. I mean, if I wanted to lose weight, the first thing I do is admit that I need to lose some damn weight. It's just the reality of the situation. That's not what's going on right now in Allen Park, because you heard the press conference from Johnny Moe. I've heard the press conference from Johnny Moe. I gotta tell you, extremely disappointed. I mean, I can't even. I mean, I definitely put into words what I'm here to do. I just felt like there was such a lack of accountability from John Morton in his press conference. There was just no, hey, you know what? Some of this is on me. I could do some things differently too, to try to help out this team moving forward. There was none of that. There was none of that. So John Morton got on the podium and essentially blamed the offensive line, the entirety of it. Which I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the offensive line was perfect, because it was not. But that's any football game. I don't want anybody to hear that and think that's like, the offensive line. No, that happens in every single football game. Offensive linemen get beat. You have to call your plays according to. You have to level out your routes according to. And I don't think John Morton did that. And the fact that he hit the podium and was like, yeah, it's kind of all in the protection. It upset me immediately. Where's your accountability? Again, if you can't properly identify the issue, how are you going to move forward to fix it? So I'm already feeling kind of like, about that. Maybe he's right. He is the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Football Lions, and I'm not. So you know what? Johnny Moe knows football more than me. I'll swallow my pride. When I watched the tape, I felt like some stuff could have been called a little bit differently. Personally, that's just me. And then Taylor Decker, his sound comes out, and he's saying the exact opposite of Johnny Moe. He's saying, yeah, some communication stuff here or there. Dan Campbell also has a press conference. He says something completely separate from Johnny Moe. Dan Campbell says, yeah, you know what? Maybe we could have called a couple different protections in there. And then on top of the film, right? Pictures say 1,000 words. The film speaks for itself too. I put on, and I really wish I could play on this video. I don't want to get a copyright strike on this channel. If you guys want to go follow me at Speakeasy Sports, or maybe I'll retweet it from Lions Nation Unite. I put a video of the Detroit Lions Week 18 game against the Minnesota Vikings. The same Minnesota Vikings, same defensive coordinator in that Week 18 game for the number 1 seed in the division, right? Very, very big game. I put the route concepts on from that one alongside the route concepts in the game we had this past Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings, where the routes took way too long to break. Guys are running like 9 yards before stemming off the routes. That was not the case last year with Ben Johnson's offense. If you watch this tape, not only are they breaking their routes earlier, meaning coming across the middle, where Jared Goff is good, by the way. That's last year, top 3 offense in the National Football League, historic offense in scoring odds, in a scoring sense. He averaged the 5th lowest air yards per attempt. We don't need to be down the field with this stuff. We have really good football players. Guess what? When Amon St. Brown gets that ball in his hands, he can make a play. When Jameson Williams gets that ball in his hands, he can make a play. We just saw it this Sunday with Sam Laporta getting that ball in his hands and stumbling himself all the way for a touchdown. Like, same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Like, these guys are playmakers. They can make things happen with the ball in their hands. We don't need to run every single route 9 yards down the field. We could stem them off. We could level them. And it didn't seem like that was a big concept for the Detroit Lions in that one. On top of the fact that the protections could have been called differently as well too. Like, why are we having Jahmyr Gibbs constantly in these blitz packages? Why are we like, if Jahmyr Gibbs isn't consistently picking up these blitzes or can't get off these blitzes to run his route, why do we keep leaving him in there? I love Ja. He's tremendous. He's great. And he can block better too. There's some on him as well. But get David Montgomery in there. Again, watch the tape. It's just crazy. You could also call in an extra tight end. All right, little 12 personnel. I think I said this in my last video. You could also call in a jumbo formation. Hey, Skip, we need you out here, brother. We need you. There's things you could have did, and it did not happen. I have the clip from yesterday's mashup between Johnny Moe and Taylor Decker, and then Dan Campbell from the day prior too, where they can't get an agreement of what this issue is. Again, how are you supposed to fix it if you can't agree on what the issue is? Here is the mashup between Taylor Decker and company and Johnny Moe.
First and foremost, you assess the problem and see what it is. And it was kind of what I felt it was even during the game after watching the film. So you assess the problem, you find it out, and you address it head on.
It's protecting the protection and all of that. That's the biggest thing.
It wasn't as much of guys just like, one-on-one, man-to-man getting their ass beat.
I'm just saying guys are breaking down, and it's one or two guys when you watch it.
It was more just being on the same page.
No, the IDs have been good.
Use some 7-man protections, right?
I can draw up all these plays we want it. If you don't protect,
there's some things that you can do.
This is fixable. That's the beauty of it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, first.
That's not good. That is not good. When there is an issue in the building with the offense, an offense that we know is capable of a lot, an offense that is capable of, top 3 in the league, if not one. And there's an issue with it, and we can identify it, guys. This is supposed to be the strength of the team. Like, we can't have this going on. And initially, that's what this video was going to be completely about, just freaking out about that. However, thank Lord for Dan Campbell, because I would be freaking out a lot in this situation if it weren't for Dan Campbell. Because what's the first thing Dan Campbell says anytime the team falls short? He hits that podium and he says, "It's on me. I didn't have the team ready. All right, I didn't have our coaches ready." And how many times? Not a lot, because we win a lot, no big deal. Smash the like button. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, Dan Campbell bears that responsibility on his shoulder, because ultimately at the end of the day, that is what happened, right? Dan Campbell's in charge of making sure these coaches know what the hell is going on. Dan Campbell's in charge of making sure these coaches know the players know what's going on, as well as Dan Campbell is a part of making sure these players know what the hell is going on. It comes to the point where, like, even with player acquisition in the offseason, Dan Campbell very much a part of that. In free agency, in the draft process, in the end season, Dan Campbell's not even looking at film until Brad Holmes gets to like a fair value on the trade offer, because he's focused on his task at hand, and that is winning football games. So it ultimately does rely on the leader. And I was Dan Campbell at a press conference today, and he verified that sentiment for me, which I'm thankful for. I think in any other organization that passed, maybe more than half the organizations in the National Football League, something like that would tear them apart. Not the Detroit Lions. We have a guy like Dan Campbell who is willing to admit there's more than just the protection and throwing the players under the bus. Now, I think there may be a relationship aspect of this that needs to be mended between Johnny Morton and that offensive line, because quite clearly they aren't on the same page. But at least somebody in that building with authority and the coaching staff has the foresight to see this is more than just protection. We can call the game a little bit differently here. And it just so happens to be the guy that has the most foresight in that locker room. This is Dan Campbell speaking on what tweaks can be made to fix that offense.
An example of just a little twitch that.
Well, the only thing part of it could be with the way the game is called. It could be maybe rhythm of how you call it. It could be what you go to. It could be who you're trying to get involved. I hate to give away a plan, that's, and I got it. I understand what you're asking too. It's like, I don't get, but it can be a number of different things,
me personally, I'm not blaming this all on Johnny Morton. I'm really not. Like, there could have been some better protection, both on the offensive line at times, which again is going to happen, and on the running back at times. First and foremost, with the running back, I mean, that's just not going to be an ideal situation for anybody. You're right. Your running back is not. I mean, yeah, you want him to block. You pay him to block. How many times you ever turned on running back highlights and was like, let me see this guy block? I don't think these guys are paid to block. That's at least that's not where the majority of the money and value of production comes from. It's them running the football. So it's definitely it's cumulative. It's a cumulative error. But there was a piece of it that just wasn't being identified. It felt like from the guy who was in charge of calling the offense, and it was a concern of mine for 12 hours. You know what I'm saying? Until I heard the Dan Campbell press conference. Like think. I love Dan Campbell. I mean, I really do. He is the man. So what I expect moving forward, I expect quicker routes, more shallow route tree. I expect maybe a little bit of jumbo out there. Get Big Dan Skip out there. And you know what? You heard it here first. Expect maybe a David Montgomery start. I know Ja is the more talented running back, but what we have been in the past 2 to 3 years, as we start the game off with David Montgomery, get it to Gibbs, Montgomery, Gibbs, but Montgomery establishes that smash mouth. Like, an instance, right? They wouldn't be able to see a successful blitz like that, in my opinion, against David Montgomery, to the point where where a team was like, oh, we should just keep blitzing, right? Because Dave Montgomery, I don't think it would have been as successful. So it would have been spammed the way it was on Sunday. Guys, I know I say Sunday, Monday, Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, like that on purpose, because every time I listen to an old person talk about a day, for some reason they say Sunday. But yeah, I just want to get that out in the air. I'm glad that Dan Campbell dropped that before I made this video of me just crying about what's going on, being a negative video. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is going to end up being a positive video because Dan Campbell recognized the issue, and Dan Campbell's going to clearly communicate that. I have the utmost confidence that's going to happen. And now, is that going to get fixed right away? I don't know, because I do think some of it, again, is on the actual protection part of it. But again, you have to call to that. If you know that's going to happen, you can't just be like, oh, well, he's going to get it this time. Like, no, you have to have a contingency plan in place if the offensive line's not performing. But that's it for me. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Subscribe. Head over to Lions Nation Night if you want some sweet gear. All right. You know what I'm saying? Detroit Lions represent. Make sure you guys are over there too. And until next time, I'm out. Oh, I didn't press the button. Let me try again. Until next time, I'm out.